Welcome to this deep dive. Okay.
It's going to be all about death.
Ooh.
But like,
Interesting.
not like most people think,
Yeah.
we all think we get it.
Mm-hmm.
But what if it's more complicated
Yeah,
than just the end?
absolutely.
So
That's true.
we've got these excerpts
Okay.
from this chapter.
Mm-hmm.
It's called What and When is Death?
Wow.
And
Sketchy.
trust me,
Okay.
it's going to make you rethink
Okay.
everything you thought
Yeah.
you knew about death.
Right. I'm ready.
Okay.
So it really does
Yeah.
challenge those everyday assumptions,
Yeah.
you know?
Like what we think we know.
Exactly. Even just starting with this basic idea of biological death,
Yeah.
there's a surprising amount of nuance.
A nuance already.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like, we all know.
That saying, like heart stops, you're dead.
Right.
But this chapter
Yeah.
breaks it down into
Right.
three aspects. So
Okay.
there's the final event.
Yeah.
There's the absolute state of like being dead.
Yeah.
And then death as like part of a process.
Oh.
That last one is already like, whoa,
Mhm.
what
Is that about?
so it's easy to fixate on that like final moment.
Mhm.
Like the heart stops,
Mhm.
but the journey
Yeah.
to that end point,
Mhm.
that's crucial too.
Okay.
Okay. Take the heart and lungs,
Yeah.
stopping the source, points out that there's this gap.
A gap.
Yeah, where the brain
Well, sure.
is actively dying
Was.
from lack of oxygen. Oh, isn't dead yet. Oh, so it's like,
It's this in-between
yeah.
state that most of us don't even consider.
so even with something as seemingly straightforward
Right.
as like your heart stopping,
Mhm.
there's still this whole
There's this
unfolding process
going on,
It's
exactly.
on
And that
there.
leads us to situations that really complicate
Okay.
this traditional definition
Mm-hmm.
of death
Okay.
as total brain failure.
Okay.
Have you ever heard of
I think so.
the Florida boy case?
Vaguely.
Okay.
Yeah, but remind me,
Yeah. But
doesn't that like a situation that really
yeah.
challenged
It's-
how we define death?
This young boy
Yeah.
was diagnosed
Mhm.
with total brain failure,
So like,
but incredibly,
yeah.
he survived.
He what? For another 14 years
14 years.
in intensive care.
That seems
Yeah.
impossible if his brain was gone.
Right.
Like, what was going
His
on?
body was still
Right.
functioning,
Okay.
growing,
Still
healing
growing.
wounds.
Wow.
There was even some regrowth of brain tissue.
Okay.
Though not the parts
Right.
responsible
Oh,
for the things
Yeah.
we usually
Yeah.
associate with
Yeah.
being like a person.
a person.
Neurologist Alan Schumann
Okay.
has studied many cases
Okay.
like this,
Mhm.
and his work
Yeah.
really challenges that equation
Go.
of total brain failure with death,
So, if the brain
right?
isn't driving the ship,
Mhm.
so to speak,
Right, yeah.
what is keeping the body going
Yeah.
in these cases?
What even is life?
Like, what even is life?
When it's like that,
Yeah.
that's the question.
Okay.
That fascinated philosopher Leon Kass.
Okay.
Um,
He coined this idea
okay.
of bare life,
Their life.
the most fundamental level of existence,
Mm-hmm.
driven by
Mhm.
primal needs. The Florida boy,
Mm-hmm.
despite his brain damage,
Yeah.
was still at this base level,
Okay.
striving to breathe,
Wow.
to receive nourishment.
So, like,
Kaz even described it as
yeah.
this inner needy state,
Inner needy state.
which really captures the
Yeah.
essence of it.
Okay. Yeah.
Um,
It makes me think
Yeah.
beyond the medical marvels,
Right.
how this
Yeah.
bare life
Mm.
concept
Right.
intersects with
Yeah.
how we understand a person's identity.
You're getting to
Yeah.
something really important.
Okay.
The source
Okay.
contrasts
Mhm.
the Florida boy
Okay.
with the UK's approach.
Okay. The UK's.
If someone is in
Ah.
a vegetative state
Yeah.
for 12 months,
Mhm.
it's
Yeah.
considered enough
Okay.
to declare
right.
death,
Okay.
even if,
Right.
like the Florida boy,
Yeah.
the body could be kept
Yeah.
going
Yeah.
longer
Yeah.
with medical support.
Right. So are we
Obviously,
actually
it's
pushing
stress.
the boundaries of life and death?
It raises ethical questions
Yeah.
with our
Are you
medical.
grappling with
Yeah.
how much to intervene,
Right?
especially in cases
Yeah.
where bare life
Yeah.
might be present,
Yeah.
but the person we once knew
Right.
may be gone.
What about cases
Okay.
where someone still mentally present,
Yeah.
but their circumstances have changed so drastically
Yeah.
that their identity
Right.
feels lost?
Mm-hmm.
This chapter talks about
It's a social death trend.
fascinating parallel, and it's
Yeah.
often overlooked.
Social death.
Social death happens when
Yes,
someone's
yeah.
no longer
Yeah.
seen as the person
Yeah.
they once were,
Okay.
even if they're
Right.
biologically alive.
So it's like,
It's a shift in their
Yeah.
narrative,
Yeah.
their identity,
Yeah.
in the eyes of others.
can you give me like a concrete example?
The source talks about Maud,
Maud.
who suffered a
Okay.
brain injury.
Okay.
Her body's alive,
Right.
but she's not. The Maud people knew.
Right.
Relationships change.
Right.
The way
Yeah.
people interact with her,
Right.
that shift
Okay.
signifies social death.
So it's like,
Her story
yeah.
within her community
Yeah.
has been
Yeah.
rewritten.
So it's almost like their biological journey continues,
Mhm.
but their social story
Exactly.
has come to an end.
Yeah.
Or at least thematic turning point.
That's a great way to put it. And to unpack this further,
Okay.
the source dives into these two aspects of identity,
Mhm.
idem and ipsi.
Okay. Idem and
That's-
ips.
Those sound,
Yeah.
they're a little academic. What do they
no,
actually
understand.
mean?
Think of idem
Okay.
as being about sameness,
Okay.
about our biological continuity.
Yeah, the what?
Of our
Sorry?
existence
Okay.
is more about
Okay.
oneself as the self-same.
Okay. So
The
that's
like who we are.
yeah.
Our narrative identity, the things
Yeah.
that make us uniquely us.
So idem is grounded
Exactly.
in the physical body,
Mm-hmm.
and ipsi
Mm-hmm.
is all the intangible stuff, the
Yeah.
stories,
Right.
memories, relationships.
Yeah. Weave together
Right.
our sense of self.
Exactly.
Okay.
And the source argues
Okay.
that biological death,
Mm-hmm.
the end of idem,
Right.
is often intertwined
Yeah.
with social death,
Yeah.
the end of ips.
So even though our physical body
Yeah.
is gone,
Yeah.
our social story
Mhm.
can continue.
To continue, be it through legacy,
Right.
memory,
Mhm.
or how others carry
Yeah.
our story forward.
But does social death
Right.
always
Coincide.
a biological death?
Not
I
always.
have a
no.
feeling it's
We've-
not that simple.
The source explains
Yeah.
that social death can actually
Oh, wow.
occur
Yeah.
before,
Before
during,
or after.
or after. Now I'm really intrigued.
It is.
I'd love to hear about a case
Yeah.
where social death.
Happens before biological death.
Yeah.
Is there an example
Yeah.
in the chapter that illustrates that?
Remember the Tony Bland case
Okay.
we touched on earlier?
Yeah, yeah.
The young man
Mm-hmm.
in a persistent
Yeah.
vegetative state
Yeah.
after the Hillsborough disaster?
Oh, right. The
Yeah,
one
yeah.
where his family ultimately made
Right.
that difficult decision
Yeah.
to let him go.
So
There.
while his brainstem
Oh,
is still functioning,
Mhm.
so technically
Yeah.
not biologically dead
Yeah.
by
yeah.
some definitions,
Right.
the court
Okay.
agreed
Mm-hmm.
with his family
Mm-hmm.
that
Yeah.
the Tony Bland
Yeah.
they knew and loved
Yeah.
was gone. His social death,
Yeah.
the loss of his ips,
Right.
became a significant factor.
It wasn't just about
Right.
whether.
It really
Yeah.
highlights how
Yeah.
social death can blur
Right.
those lines
Yeah.
between life and death,
Yeah.
raising ethical and legal
Right.
questions
Yeah.
we're still grappling with.
Like, when does a person
Exactly.
cease to be a person?
In the eyes of the law,
right.
in the eyes of
Yeah.
those who love them.
It's not always
No.
as simple as
Yeah.
heartbeat or brain activity.
It's making me think
Yeah.
about all the ways we categorize death.
Right? Like good death,
Good bit.
tragic death,
Right.
peaceful death.
Peaceful death.
Those
Yeah, those
are
all
all
social constructs.
social constructs
Mhm.
layered
Oh, and
onto
I-
the biological.
Picking up on
Yeah.
a crucial point,
Okay.
the source makes biological death is a fact,
Okay.
but we add
Yeah.
all this
Yeah.
social meaning and value
Okay.
to it.
But it's not just about
Yeah.
cells
Mhm.
ceasing to function. It's
That is
about how.
It's about
Yeah.
how we
Yeah. Yeah.
interpret
Right.
that event,
Yeah.
the stories we tell about it.
It's almost like
Yeah.
biological death
Yeah.
is the raw material.
Right.
And social death is
Social death is how we
how we
as a society,
as an individual,
as an individual,
shape that
into something meaningful.
something we can.
Process.
That's a great way to think about it.
Okay.
And this plays out in everything from
Yeah.
how we handle funerals
Right.
to end of life care decisions.
Okay.
We're constantly weaving narratives around death.
Okay, so we've got
Trying to make sense of it
yeah,
within our human experience.
biological death.
Right.
This process of change
Yeah.
in our physical being.
Right.
And
Like
social death.
social death.
This shift in
This shift in
Bring
how
up
we're
received
and remember.
and remembered.
Which can even happen.
Right before our body dies.
It's a lot
It's a lot.
to wrap your head around.
It is.
The source goes on to draw some interesting
yeah.
parallels and distinctions.
Okay, let's break those down. It feels like we're finally getting to the point where we can start connecting all these complex ideas.
Right. So both biological and social death
Mm-hmm.
involve change. But the nature of that change is different.
Biological death.
Biological death is about those tangible, intrinsic changes.
Intrinsic changes.
Cells stop working.
Cells stop working.
Organs shut down.
Organs shut down.
Social death.
Social death, on the other hand,
is
about
change
in our narrative.
and
how others
and understand us.
Okay. So one is concrete
happening
and we're
abstract
within
our physical selves.
Then the other is more
abstract,
abstract, existing in the realm of relationships,
perception,
and memory.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. And another key point the source raises is this idea of the
existence condition.
Existence condition.
Both types of death only make sense if there was a life to begin with. Like you can't have an ending without a beginning.
Without a beginning.
And it is high. It is.
But how we understand
that
existence
differs for biological death.
Biological death.
It's about the material
reality
of our bodies.
For social death.
Social death. It's
about
continuity.
Our identity.
Of our identity. Over time. So it's not just about, but it's not just whether our heart is beating, but whether our story,
our
impact on the world
continues
even
after we're gone.
They bad.
This whole item and Ipsy thing is making so much more sense now.
It's a powerful concept.
Yeah.
And the source emphasizes another parallel.
Okay.
Both biological and social death can be understood as both a state.
Right. Okay. I can see that.
Okay.
With biological death.
Right. Being dead is the state.
The state.
And dying is
the process. The process.
But how does that apply?
To
social death?
Social death.
Right.
Right.
What does it even mean?
To be in a state.
To be in a state.
Of social death.
Well, imagine being completely forgotten.
Okay.
Erased from history.
Wow.
No one remembers you.
Okay.
Your impact on the has vanished. That's
the absolute state
ultimate
of social death.
And I'm guessing the process.
And the process
of social death
is more like
fading
from memory.
Slowly becoming
less
and less present.
In
the minds of
others. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
The source actually uses a more chilling term too.
Okay.
Disremembered. Which suggests
what's that mean?
A more active process,
yeah.
like having one's memory intentionally tarnished
Yikes.
or distorted. It is a
whole other
sobering thought.
And it really brings
to light
to contemplate
the responsibility we have
to
those who have died. We choose to remember the stories.
The
stories we tell has immense power.
Which makes me wonder if social death is...
If social death is...
so tied to
storytelling. Can we, in a sense, redeem death?
Can we shape the narrative even after someone's gone?
Even after someone...
in a way that honors...
their life.
That's a profound question.
Oh.
And the source actually tackles this head on.
Okay.
It points out that we have this deep-seated drive to fight against death.
Right.
Particularly on the biological level.
Right.
Think of all the war metaphors. We use doctors battle disease. We develop miracle cures.
Right. We're constantly
pushing back
again.
It's the inevitability.
The inevitability.
It's biological death.
Biological death.
With technology.
With medical advancements.
Medical advancements. Even it just buys us.
And
a little more time. Exactly.
Yeah.
But the source argues this redemption isn't limited to the biological realm.
Okay.
Social death
can also be
just so redeemed through how we remember people.
Right.
We can fight against.
Right. We can fight
disremembering against those forces that seek to distort or erase someone's legacy.
So even in death, there's this
ongoing struggle
for
narrative control. It's not just about keeping the body alive, but keeping the story alive, keeping the person's spirit present in the world. And the source breaks this down into three key concepts. Being well remembered. Misremembered. And disremembered.
Well remembered.
Well remembered.
Soundly. The idea out.
Having your story told way that honors
your life.
Your contribution.
Even the messy part.
Messy parts, precisely.
Yeah.
It's about capturing the essence of who someone was, warts and all.
Right.
And ensuring their positive impact continues to resonate.
And misremembered.
And misremembered would be like having details
of
your life
distorted
or forgotten, your story told
from a biased
or incomplete perspective.
Yes.
Right.
Those inaccuracies that creep in
over time.
Those gaps in our collective memory.
And disremembered. That's the worst case scenario.
Right.
Intentional efforts to erase someone from history, to suppress their story, or paint them in a
negative light.
It's a form.
It is a form of narrative injustice, a denial of someone's right to have their story told, truthfully, and respectfully.
It's why the act of remembering, of actively engaging with someone's legacy is so crucial.
This whole conversation is making me rethink what it means.
Brings to light the value of
it's not just about
on life.
It's not just about the physical circumstances.
The social ones,
but the social ones too.
Being well remembered.
Having your story
continue to make a positive impact. You're getting to the heart of it.
Yeah. It's about recognizing.
That death isn't
just and it's a transition.
And how we navigate that transition
both for
ourselves and for those we've lost.
Has profound implications.
It's how we understand the meaning and value of a human life. That brings up an interesting point.
It seems like biological death is a solitary
event happening to one body. Social death
is inherently communal.
It relies on others to carry the story
forward. That's a brilliant observation. It's not just about
the individual
who dies, but the community.
That community.
They were a part of.
They were part of the people
whose lives
they
touched.
Social death
or
avoidance.
It's avoidance. It's a shared
responsibility.
So even though we often think of death as this intensely personal experience,
it's actually deeply intertwined with our social fabric. Connections to one another. Exactly.
Continues even after death. Through memory.
Through storytelling.
Through the ways we choose to honor and remember those who are no longer
with us physically. It's a powerful testament to the enduring impact
of human relationships. This deep dive has really
has shifted
my perspective.
It's your perspective. That's
just
about the ending
of a life,
but
about the ripple effects.
The ripple effects that continue
outward,
shaping how we understand
the world,
ourselves,
connections,
and the connections that bind us.
Yeah,
it's a complex, fascinating topic. One
deserves
our careful consideration,
not just in the abstract, but
and how we approach our own lives. And the ways we choose to remember
our own lives.
And the ways we choose to remember those who have
gone before us.
So, as we wrap up this deep dive, what's the
thought
you'd like to leave
our
listener with? What's the question?
The question.
They should continue pondering
as
they. I think the question that really sticks out.
That really sticks out for me. This whole discussion
is like, how do we
navigate the
complexities,
of death,
both our own
and
those we remember? It feels like It feels like we've moved beyond
this simple idea.
Of
the end
and into this
richer,
more
nuanced
understanding. It's a question each of us has to grapple with in our own way.
Yeah, our own way.
There's the biological reality. Of course.
Yeah.
But then there's this whole other layer of social meaning. Of narrative and memory. That we have a responsibility to engage with. It makes you think.
It makes you think about what kind of legacy
you want to leave behind.
Not just in terms of achievement.
But in terms of
the impact you have
on the people around you.
What kind of stories
would they tell
about you when you're gone? And it's not just about the stories themselves, but the act of telling them. Right? How social death can be a process of being forgotten,
misremembered,
right?
Misremembered,
even intentionally
erase.
So actively choosing
to remember someone to share their story
becomes a powerful act of resistance
against that kind
of oblivion. No, it's kind of a
mind-blowing realization, a new spin on the phrase
that this whole concept,
gone but not forgotten,
of social death, puts a new spin on the phrase,
gone but not forgotten. It's not just
an active choice we
make to keep someone's spirit alive
in the world. And that act of remembering, of honoring someone's life can be a source of comfort and meaning. Those left behind. It helps us.
It helps us process
a loss.
To make sense of.
Yeah, to make sense of
the gap.
Your gap that's left behind.
That's left behind is like
we're weaving these threads of memory
together,
creating a tapestry that honors
the individual
while acknowledging the collective impact
they have on all of us. It's a beautiful image. And it speaks
to the power of
shared storytelling
to help us navigate
the complexities of death.
Shared storytelling
help us
navigate
complexities
of death,
so that denying or the sadness,
but finding ways to hold both
the grief
and the love, the loss, and the enduring impact
of a life well lived.
This whole conversation has been
thought-provoking.
I feel like I've gained
a whole new understanding what it means
to die
and what it means
to truly live a life worth remembering.
And I think that's the beauty of these seemingly straightforward
topics, and unpack them. Revealing all these layers of complexity and nuance. And in doing so, we gain a richer understanding of ourselves and the world
and around us. So
to our listener out there
grappling
with their own
questions
about
about
death and what it all means. I hope this deep dive has given you some new perspectives.
The food for thought.
Food for thought.
As you navigate your own
journey.
And remember that conversation doesn't end here. Keep asking questions.
Exploring these ideas and sharing the stories that matter. Most to you, it's through those conversations that we sense
of the world
and ultimately of our own place within it.
Thanks for joining us.
This deep dive.
A deep dive.
Until next time.
Keep exploring.
Keep questioning.
And keep diving.
Keep diving deep.
Diving deep.
Into the mysteries.
That matter most.
Yeah,
it's like we have this responsibility to like engage with these social meanings of death.
Yeah. It's not just about the cells.
Right. It's the stories.
It's about the stories.
Yeah.
The narratives. And the memories. Right. And how those shaped how we understand what it means to die.
It makes you think.
It does.
About what kind of legacy.
Right.
Like I want to leave behind.
Yeah.
Not just like achievements and stuff.
Your resume. Yeah.
But like my impact.
Your impact, yeah.
On people.
On the people around you.
Like what stories are they going to...
What stories will they tell?
Tell about me.
Yeah.
When I'm gone.
When you're gone.
Yeah.
And it's not just about the stories themselves.
Right.
But like the act of telling them.
Oh, right.
We saw how social death can be a process.
Yeah.
Of being forgotten, misremembered,
yeah.
or even intentionally erased.
Right.
So actively choosing to remember someone.
Oh, wow.
To share their story becomes this powerful act of resistance. Against that kind of oblivion.
It's kind of mind-blowing that this concept of social death puts a new spin on the phrase gone but not forgotten.
Totally.
Yeah, it's not just the
sentimental saying. It's an active choice.
An active choice.
We make to keep someone's spirit
alive in the world.
Yeah, alive in the world.
And that act of remembering.
Yeah, remembering.
Of honoring.
Yeah, of honoring
someone's life.
Can
be this source
of
comfort
and
meaning.
For those left behind. It helps us process the loss.
To make sense.
That gap. Of that gap that's left behind.
It's like weaving.
Yeah, these threads of memory together. Creating a tapestry. That honors the individual. While acknowledging the collective impact they have
on all of us.
The
beautiful image.
Yeah.
And it speaks to the power of shared storytelling to help us.
Yeah, to help us navigate those complexities of death.
The complexities of death. It's not about
it's not
denying the pain.
The pain or the sadness. But finding ways.
Right, but finding ways to hold
both the grief and the love.
And the love.
The loss.
Yeah, the loss.
And the enduring impact. Of a life well lived. This whole conversation has been so thought-provoking. I feel like I've gained new understanding of what it means to die. And what it means.
And what it means
to truly live a life worth remembering. And I think that's the beauty. Of these
deep dives.
We take these seemingly
straightforward topics.
And we unpack them.
Revealing all the
layers of complexity.
And nuance.
And doing so, we gain a richer understanding of ourselves.
And the world
around us.
Right.
For our listener out there.
Who's like
grappling,
with their own
questions about
death
and what it all. I hope this deep dive
has given you
some
perspective,
some food for thought, as you navigate
your own
journey through this topic. And remember, the conversation
doesn't end.
It doesn't end
here.
Keep asking questions. Keep exploring these ideas and keep sharing the stories that matter.
Most to you.
Oh.
Is through those
conversations
that we Makes sense.
Of the world.
And ultimately, our place within it.
Our place within it. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
On this deep dive. Until next time.
Keep
exploring. Keep questioning.
And
keep diving deep.
Into the mysteries.
Into the mysteries.
That matter most.